This one. If you would be so
Hi,
kind
Wayne.
as to give
Does that sound all right?
our Mr. Bishop a 10 count, that'll be
Okay.
taken care of biz.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay. Is that mic close enough for Stephen then? Okay. All right. Now, this is for September 15th, which is next Monday, right? Okay. Monday. So no good mornings. That's the only caveat.
It's at 6, right?
That's right. Monday
Okay.
at 6. Well, we're just going to talk. We'll talk about. We need to do this every time too. We need to talk about the two entities
Mm-hmm.
and how they differ and the fact that they're under the same roof and
Sure.
all of that. People need to know. But it's the buying and selling is all out of estate diamonds, right? Selling is Noble House as well, but buying is all estate diamonds.
Right. The
isn't
manufacturing is all Noble House.
Okay.
So inside of under one roof, Noble House, we design, we cut, polish by hand diamonds above 1 carat.
Okay. Okay.
And into our design patented shapes.
Okay, and I'm going to get, I'm just going to write myself the word certificates again, because I know that's very important to you, and then write the real ones underneath it, because we've talked about that in the past.
And Sterling, in the last 2 weeks, I've run into 4 of the soft certificates. And
Okay.
I think I am allowed to express opinion and it not being slander.
Right.
In that the company is called the European Gemological Lab.
Right.
And we had a lady in selling a diamond that they had certified as an F color SI1, and it was an I1 and a J color. So that's so far away from what it was sold as that they were blatantly robbed. It's wrong. It's happening so much today. And it's happening more in Vancouver than in other places because they have a lab here.
Well, you know, I did talk radio on CKNW for 12 years and had more than a few sessions with the lawyers over those times, all about defamation. All about defamation, slander, libel, all that stuff. No, if in an opinion forum you give your opinion about something that you view as being improper or there's malfeasance going on or something, that's not slander. That's your opinion.
Okay,
then
I'm
opinion
going to hit
show.
on it because it's becoming too much a part of the trade.
Right, right. Okay. And that, of course, also allows the contrast of the certification processes that you approve of and recognize and endorse versus these iffy operators.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, DB, hit start, dude. Oh, I see you have something loaded. I see. Okay, gotcha. I will wait for your cue.
And now, it's Boomer Life, lifestyle discussion designed to make your life more engaging, meaningful, and complete. Celebrating the baby boomer generation, this is Boomer Life on CIL 650.
Diamonds are forever, sparkling round my little finger, unlike men.
Well, good evening. And welcome to Boomer Life here on CIL 650. A little Shirley Bassey intro. Diamonds are forever to this episode of the program, and it's always a pleasure to have Stephen Benoliel, a principal with Canadian Estate Diamonds and Canadian Noble House Diamonds, join us in studio. Nice to see you again, Stephen.
Thank you, Sterling. It's good to be here.
Do you appreciate the musical theme here?
I like that.
Dwayne's got this thing going on now. It's great stuff. Now, talk to us. I mentioned 2 companies already at the beginning. So we've got Canadian Estate Diamonds, Stephen, and Canadian Noble House Diamonds, both of which are Vancouver-based companies, both of which are in the same building at Granville in Georgia, for all intents and purposes. Explain the difference between the 2 companies.
Right. Canadian Noble House is perhaps the only company in North America that on one premise takes a rough diamond. We have cut or patented diamond cuts, and we take it from its rough to its finished diamond, put it into a ring, and sell it to the end user. So these are a small production of bigger diamonds, but as fine as anything on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And Canadian Estate Diamonds is a company that is a relatively new company, and the aftermarket of diamonds is something that has been growing over the last 10 years, certainly over the course of the recession, and will be a larger part of the trade as time goes on, as diamonds are a diminishing resource.
Mm-hmm.
It's been said that the biggest and the best diamonds are probably already out of the ground and in the safety deposit boxes of North America. So the future diamond mines of the world, if you will, may be in banks.
Interesting. Now, what do you mean by aftermarket of diamonds, Stephen? What does that term mean?
Well, as the song said, diamonds are forever, but sadly people are not. And sometimes a person might inherit grandma's diamond or their parents' diamond, and they just want to turn it into money.
Okay.
And I can understand that, especially a man might not want to wear grandma's diamond,
Right.
might not have somebody wants to give it to.
Right.
And there is, of course, divorce, which is 48% of Canadian marriages, and those diamonds have to go somewhere. So we're a premise where people can come into a secure location. They will be treated honestly and fairly, and we'll tell them what they've got in under a minute or two. And it's a great option as opposed to going to a pawn shop or having to leave it in a jewelry store on a layaway plan, or rather a consignment plan to hopefully get your money back one day.
Right. So people are welcome to go to Canadian Estate Diamonds, to go down to your offices, and we'll tell you about the address and all of that. Okay, it's 736 Granville Street on the 7th floor.
8th floor.
Oh, 8th floor. Okay.
Right
Okay.
off the elevator.
All right. So there's the mystery all over with. But yeah, now you've had some CIL 650 listeners who enjoy Boomer Life, and a few of whom have made their way to your premises. Now, have all of these people brought something, Stephen? They're the aftermarket. I have a valuable, or what I think is a valuable item, an heirloom perhaps, to sell, and they bring it to you for an appraisal?
An assessment, or even they would let us try and sell it for them, or buy it from them. And we had a couple, a mother and a daughter, in about a week ago that had heard us on your show, and the part that I liked the best was they said, well, we heard you on 650, and we believe that Sterling wouldn't be introducing us to somebody who wasn't honest. And I said, well, he really is that guy. He walks me out to the door at the end of every show and shakes my hand and says goodbye. And so he's genuine, and it's nice to know that your listeners feel that way.
Well, I'm touched, actually, and I'm also very pleased to be able to help people through the assistance of experts like you find their way through the maze of all of these things. And and you mentioned the recession a few moments ago. A lot of people, a lot of us boomers, really got hammered in that last recession. A lot of us saw, not all perhaps, but a good chunk of our retirement planning just down the drain because of the way the stock market turned and the fortunes of investing. So,
Sure.
as many of us are still on the rebound from all of that, we're looking at various other methods of enhancing our retirement. And certainly diamonds and other valuable stones, because it's not just about diamonds at your office, is it, Stephen? You'll
No.
take a look at least at any precious stone.
That's right. Most of the bigger sapphires, rubies, and emeralds have doubled or tripled in price over the last 15, 20 years. Diamonds are not rare in this world, in the small and the inexpensive, but there is a diminishing supply of diamonds that finish 1 carat or larger. And if you think of the D-flawless diamonds, all of the production in the world in a year can fit in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly 3 and 4 carat diamonds, with China, with Asia coming on strong as buyers, there's more demand than supply, and it's driving prices to places that are, in some diamonds, 3 carat, for instance, high quality, is double the price it was 6 years ago.
Interesting. And all of this is because of the recent arrival of the Chinese middle class, among other Asian interests. But that is a massive amount of people suddenly with some wealth and a real interest in valuable metals and stones, aren't they? And that's changed the dynamic, hasn't it?
It has, and we've seen 2 waves in Vancouver over the last 20 years. First, it was the people from Hong Kong, And in the 90s, you needed to have two inventories if you were a wholesaler in Vancouver, one for the regular Canadian folks that lived here, and then a much higher, bigger standard of diamond for the Chinese coming from Hong Kong, who are usually wealthy, but they were more discriminating consumer.
Okay.
They wanted the best of the best. And I would say it might shock people to learn that there are billions and billions of dollars in diamonds in safes and safety deposit boxes of Vancouver.
Right.
Everybody would think there's some, but few would have an idea of the depth of it.
Right.
We're talking about great, great collections of jewelry.
Right, and so you pointed this out to us in the past, and it's always worth pausing and remembering of that, because of course we've talked about conspiracy theories in the past, and a lot of them aren't valid anymore, but they have had their heyday. The De Beers conspiracy theory, for example, and this was popular right up to the 50s and 60s, where basically they had the world monopoly on digging diamonds out of the ground, and so they would hoard them and release only small amounts on an annual basis to guarantee a very high world price. Well, they don't have that monopoly anymore. You were part of breaking that monopoly with the gang that went up north here in Canada and discovered the polar diamonds.
Right, and I think as well they ran into the multinational mining companies that had the depth to go and develop a big diamond play. A kimberlite pipe is $1 billion proposition. But companies such as Rio Tinto and BHP, they're able to do that. So they could see De Beers had, through its marketing, through a century that started with Cecil Rhodes and their own army in South Africa, they had a monopoly that had made a pretty sweet game.
Sure.
So, for instance, the BHP Acadie mine was paid off in its first year.
Wow.
And then they made $1 for every dollar they'd put into it after tax in the second year. So huge profit. The 15 twilight, or rather diamond mines that are in their twilight years are the 15 richest mines of any kind the world has ever seen.
Wow.
So they weren't going to get to hold it forever. And some countries, such as Russia, that have depth in diamond mines, they've taken it on themselves. And so the Russians today are probably a third of the diamond market in the world in rough production.
Interesting stuff. So it's really important to note from the perspective of our guest, Stephen Benolio from Canadian Estate Diamonds, that, and this is not the first time Stephen has made this declaration on the radio either, there is a diminishing supply of big diamonds. There's no shortage whatsoever globally of little kind of decoration diamonds, but the big guys, 2 carats and more, there is a dwindling supply available in the ground. However, there's an enormous supply in safety deposit boxes and jewelry boxes, especially right here in North America and in Europe as well.
That's right. And being in the position where we can recut diamonds, we have our own factory. We can take a diamond that's an old mine cut or that's chipped or broken and fashion it into a modern ideal. So we've got more than one way that we can add value to Grandma's diamond.
Right. Now, if someone, for example, going back to this couple that were so nice to remark upon hearing us on the radio together, now these people brought you a ring for an appraisal. And so how long does it take you once someone delivers a piece of jewelry to you to give them a turnaround on, well, we think that this would be the value of this item? How long does that process take?
That's a few minutes. What we try to do are paint the options. Here's how we can work. We can buy this from you, and here's what its value is in total diamond weight or gold weight or perhaps colored stone weight. Or if the piece of jewelry, and that's what happened with these 2 ladies, Karen and her mom, the ring and the labor in the ring was the most valuable component in the total. So to take it into its parts of diamonds and sapphires and platinum wasn't doing justice to most of it. So we told her we're probably better to try and sell this as a ring for you.
Leave the design intact.
That's right, and each diamond bezel set in platinum, it was a lot of labor. And so she decided, let's try and put it on your website. We'll consign it to you for a point in time. And that's what we've done. So hopefully we'll sell it for her. She is convinced, and I believe it's probably true, it's the nicest piece of jewelry on our website. Right.
Okay, so and that's CanadianEstateDiamonds.com,
That's right.
right? So
Yes.
if you happen to be near the computer as Stephen and I are talking through the hour, you might want to just check either website out. But in terms of that kind of antiques roadshow approach that a lot of us take to enjoying this hour, I love doing this hour with you because I'm always surprised by the information that you have. But CanadianEstateDiamonds.com is where all of those consignment items that people bring to Stephen and his team end up on the website, and you attempt to sell them on their behalf. How many diamonds and rings and various other heirlooms that people bring to you, Stephen, are of that quality? The design is so intricate and so essential to the value of the product, you don't want to take it apart and weigh the gold separately and weigh the stones and redo it completely.
Right.
Would that be the minority, the piece that you don't want to touch?
Usually, yeah,
Okay.
I would say it's 10 to 15%, and often it's just beautiful filigree work from another time.
Sure.
But then you're faced with the reality of who in today's market will wear it, because jewelry styles, just like clothes styles, they change and they have periods. So something from the 70s, even from one of Vancouver's great goldsmiths, can be a tough sell today. They just are a look that the young aren't going to wear. So at that point, you have to make the decision: do we hold out and try and find the buyer, or do we just take it apart? And that, of course, it's the owner. They say, well, look, I don't want to wait anymore. Let's just take the diamond value and the gold value. And then, of course, something that's of a name. If you have an old Cartier or Fabergé or Tiffany, that's never going to be broken up, because the value in its antiquity is huge.
Right,
so
as a piece.
Right, we don't run across that much of that.
Oh, interesting stuff. So, but once someone brings a piece to you, you're able to do an evaluation in a fairly short period of time, and then you proceed to recommend. Okay, here are your options. You can do this, or this, and of course, it's always the choice of the owner of the piece, based on the best advice you can give them.
That's right.
So if a piece is broken up, Stephen, do most people just, because the gold part has its value, and then the diamonds or the precious stones have their value. Do most people say, okay, just break it up into little pieces, I'll take the money, have a nice day? Or do people say, can we remake this? You're right, it's kind of old-fashioned, and I can't imagine anybody wearing this one, but can we make a new 2014 piece out of these ingredients?
It's happened before, but for the most part, we're sitting down with them to discuss either purchasing it or putting it on consignment.
Right.
But with somebody, we sit in the building that's full of all the goldsmiths of Vancouver.
Right.
If somebody wants it remade, redesigned, that we're glad to help them. Every person who walks out our door who's happy is hopefully going to go and tell somebody else about us. So we're delighted to have people come in, show us their jewelry, talk about their concerns. And one concern that we're running across more and more in the Vancouver market, and I know I hit on it all the time, is the EGL certificate. Okay,
let me stop you there, because this is very important stuff. And from a consumer education point of view, we need to take some time on it. Dwayne Bishop's producing the program again, and he's rather insistent at the moment that we take a quick break. So when we come back, we'll talk about certification, what's on and what's almost on. Our guest is Stephen Benoliel, principal with Canadian Estate Diamonds and Canadian Noble House Diamonds Limited, both in downtown Vancouver at 736 Granville Street, 8th floor, and online at CanadianEstateDiamonds.com. Have a look while we take this quick break.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.